Welcome back to the Snowpoint Cast. Today we're going to be taking a look at a versus episode between myself and Trevor Reed. I'm going to be on the left playing Dialgachomp, and Trevor is going to be on the right playing Regigigas. So this matchup's actually pretty interactive. There's a lot of really interesting interactions in this matchup. One of the most important ones being Sacrifice and Power Spray. Being able to shut off Sacrifice with Power Spray is really important. And, you know, there's a lot of abilities, or Poke Powers rather, that Regigigas utilizes that Dialgachomp is looking to shut off with that. So we'll see what we can get into. Trevor's going to win the flip here, and we're going to go first. I'm going to open an Uxie to his Regigigas. So definitely one of the best starters if you're going first. I do see an expert belt in him, but I'm not seeing an attach from Trevor. He is able to play out some cards and go for an Uxie to hopefully... we're just double checking to see if you can use it. Yeah, you can use it, and then if... So Regi's ability says you may discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, if your opponent has an active basic Pokemon, they switch it with one of their bench Pokemon. So he's going to use Regice and then Mesprit, Psychic Bind, and then Uxie to set up for some more cards. So pretty good turn 1. I mean, being able to Psychic Bind your opponent on turn 1, locking me out of my other Uxie is really good because you never know. And I do have a collector in my hand, so that's pretty good. And he does find the Metal Energy there, so it's a pretty great setup for Trevor, to be honest. Putting that extra belt in the discard does kind of suck, but the deck does play a lot of junk arms, so being able to get it back will not be that difficult. And there's another one. I think there's 2 more in there as well. There's 3 extra belt in the deck. So I'm going to start off with a collector. Probably going to go for a Dialga. Maybe think about a Garchomp. The kind of suspect part about Garchomp in this matchup, especially going second to a Gigas attach, is Regigigas first attack Drag Off. Does 30, and then you can pick one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and switch it with the active Pokemon before doing damage. So, if Trevor is able to find another extra belt or that one of those junk arms I was talking about and a double colorless energy, he will be able to just straight knock out my Garchomp, which is really not good. It's not a resource that I want to be having in the discard on my turn 2. So I'm just kind of thinking what I'm going to grab. I'm gonna go for one of those Garchomps just because I did see that expert belt in the discard pile. So kind of just saying I might need to use this early, or also I actually don't even love that Garchomp, to be honest. That probably should just be something else, but that's all right. There's not really another great get there, maybe another Dialga, but I'm just gonna go for a basic Metal Attach and pass. That's kind of Dialga's slow starting strategy. Both of these decks are pretty slow to get going, but once they do get going, their strategies are both very strong, but they do take a fair amount of turns to get there. So Trevor's going to go for a Sage's Training. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Put 3 of them in your hand, and then put 2 of them in the discard pile. So great for Reggie's. This is one of the cards that Reggie's gains. I'll put 2 in the hand and 3 in the discard pile. Sorry, my mistake. I'm thinking about Colorless Experiment. I've been playing too much Standard lately. So yeah, great for Regigigas though, because you're able to get those basic energies in the discard pile to be able to accelerate with Sacrifice. Unfortunately, he didn't find any, or if he did, they went to his hand. But still a great card, being able to see the top 5. And there is that junk arm that I was talking about. So if Trevor does have the double colorless energy, he is going to go expert belt, DCE, and then be able to KO this Garchomp. So he does have that expert belt already. I think that he's just gunning for the DCE here. He's going to draw some cards with this Uxie and hope for the DCE off these 4 cards off Uxie. And if he hits it, that's a really solid start. He could also kill the unknown Q. I really should have used Q because that's just a kind of a liability on the bench that he's able to kill if he has a double colorless. And with that energy exchanger, that's another interesting addition to the deck in Majestic Dawn of Legends, is take an energy from your hand, put it into your deck, and then, or put it on top of your deck, then search your deck for an energy, then shuffle your deck. So he's going to find that double colorless energy, really cool card there, especially because you can junk arm for it. So, mixing up you need each different type in order to Giga Blaster. You need fighting, water, and metal. So being able to exchange energies that you need for that, as well as find a warp energy in certain matchups, certain situations, and a double colorless energy in this situation is really useful as well. So I'm not sure what Trevor's going to go for. He's probably going to kill the Garchomp, but it's possible that he kills the unknown Q, because that is something that, he might not have access to later. But I think he's probably just going to kill the Garchomp, because that's kind of the active threat, and that just puts more of my resources in the discard that he probably wants in the discard. So he's just going to drag off on the Garchomp and then kill it, and I'm going to promote the unknown Q because it has free retreat. And I do have a double colorless energy myself, so I could start swinging, but kind of in a sketchy spot because there's no special metals on this Dialga, and Trevor has come out of the gates swinging really hard on turn 2. I mean, taking a turn 2 knockout and having a was 170 HP level X is pretty daunting. I can't really handle this right away without having, you know, some kind of crazy card combo in my hand. But I do have Twins, so that it is possible that Twins is able to help me out here, and a Dialga level X as well. So I am going to be able to buff that HP. So I might be grabbing a Snowpoint Temple here, honestly. Like, yes, it buffs his HP as well, but the thing about the matchup is eventually I want to be able to get a Dialga level X going with Lost Remove, so that I can just remove his colored energy and then make it so that it's difficult for him to attack. So I didn't see what the first card I grabbed with the Twins is, but the second one's going to be an Uxie, so I'm hoping to draw some cards here. And I do have that Dialga level X, so I'm just one metal energy away. It might be another supporter as well, something else that I grabbed to set up for next turn, because I don't really have much in my hand. I didn't see. I think there was 2 Dialga level X, a double colorless energy, and something else, but not anything to write home about. And I do need that other attach in order to be lost removing next turn, which I would really like to be doing. But Snowpoint Temple, the buff to your HP, it might save me from getting KO'd this next turn. If Trevor does have a crazy sacrifice turn and accelerates some energy, while, you know, he does get that little bit of an HP buff, but I'm two-shotting him anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm just kind of thinking on the Twins here. There's a lot of options. Twins a great card. Just being able to search out any 2 cards if you're down on prices. That's a card that both of these decks gain into this format. A really cool card. I love Twins. Trevor has a Twins in his hand as well, so ready to potentially be able to use Twins. The really nice part about Regigigas and Twins in this format, I think I have 3 in that list, is because you can sacrifice and then Twins automatically. Like if you're tight on prizes, you can choose to sacrifice something and then Twins becomes active because your opponent is up on prizes, and then you can just search your deck for any 2 cards. So kind of a really good consistency out there, because it's not even just dead a lot of the time. Like if you're up on prizes, Twins is a dead card, but if you're tied on prizes, Twins can be a live card if you need it to be a live card in Regigigas. So got those 2, just going to shuffle up and honestly might just go for a deafen here. It's possible that I just put an expert belt on and deafen. Also possible that I'm just going to start swinging at this Gigas because I need to, just kind of start putting damage on this. So I'm going to evolve into the level X and then set up for 4, I believe it is. Yep, draw 4 cards, so pretty decent draw off this Uxie. But I do have to get stuff going here, or otherwise Trevor's just going to steamroll me because he does have a really solid board already. And I do find that expert built as well, so that's actually going to be able to give me a little bit more HP, which could be a big deal if Trevor has a pop-off turn next turn. He is not able to one-shot me. However, I didn't find the Garchomp, so it means that if he goes for a 2-shot, he will be able to 2-shot. So I'm just going to deafen for 30 and kind of lock him up. And there's a ton of items that this deck plays, so I just, you know, he doesn't have the fighting energy or the water energy, so Junk Arm for energy exchanger is not going to be an out for him anymore now that I've used deafen. And also, you know, just shutting off other ball search. If I can start chipping away at this Reggie and then hopefully find a power spray for his sacrifice turn, then we'll start to be rolling. But the game's already off to a pretty good start. Both Trevor and I have kind of had really good starts. So he's going to go for a sacrifice on the Mesprit, and he's just going to heal that because he knows that it is entirely possible for me to go multi-pokey turns and then take this Gigas down with Crobat. And he's going to go let loose. Fighting energy is big as well. It means he only needs a water in order to Giga Blaster soon. And then he's going to drop the Giratina, let loose Giratina, which is another great card in Regigigas. Both players shuffle their hand in and draw 4. So just a great disruption option, especially when Trevor knows that I just Uxied for a lot of cards and I had like a 6-card hand. So putting me back down to 4 is probably really good, especially because, you know, you assume like that one of the Twins cards is not like a card that I'm using this turn. Yeah, maybe it could have been level X or the expert belt, but Trevor's a good player and he's paying attention to my hand. He probably knows that I drew the expert belt and maybe had the Dialgachomp level X before. Not that it really matters either, because like the Dialgachomp level X isn't a card that I would really search out with Twins. It's good, but it's not like crazy good. And he's just going to go for a Megaton Hammer which is the attack on Regigigas, the basic. If you have a level X in play, you can use the attacks on the Pokemon underneath it as well. Kind of a cool option that you have with level X's. So it does 80 damage, and then you can't use this attack next turn, but with the addition of Expert Belt, it's going to be doing even more damage. And I do have that Bertha's Warmth, which is actually really good because it forces Trevor to have the water off of this. I'm also thinking about Ponting and just starting to set up, because if I do have Bertha's Warmth and he does find the KO, I'm probably just going to lose the game. Both of these decks are decks where you have a really tanky, large Pokemon, but if that Pokemon goes down before you're prepared with another Pokemon waiting in the wings, you probably lose based off the turns that your opponent just gets to, you know, have free reign over your board and be able to attack you multiple times before you respond. So think about the Berthas. Decide not to go for the Bertha's Warmth, because if Trevor does have the water, I probably just lose at that point. So I'm going to go for a Pont and hopefully be able to set something else up. Hopefully another Dialga. But yeah, we'll just see what I'm going to be able to get off this Pont. Bronzong G would be really cool as well. A Poketurn would also be cool. Poketurn into this Smeargle, which I do see a Poketurn. I might end up just doing that this turn and say, hey, yes, I'm behind, but I also got to draw a prize off the sacrifice, so I'm not even really that far behind. I also might just go for the Lost Remove flip, which I think is what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to Lost Remove here and hopefully hit at least one so I can hit one of the colored energies. And there is one. So I'm going to hit... I'm just going to flip until I get Tails, then we'll see. So there's the Tails. And I'm wondering if it's the double colorless energy or if it's one of the colored energies. Trevor doesn't have any basic energy in his discard pile, so that doesn't really give me any indication of what... If there's one in there, you would obviously target that one to make it more difficult for them to find that back. But I think I'm probably just going to go for the double colorless energy here, just because it's the most for an attack. You know, in order for him to find another to attack again, he's going to have to get another DCE somehow, and he just let loose. So I don't think that's extremely likely. It is possible, but he also needs that and a water. So I just don't think that's something that can probably happen this turn off of a let loose. I'm just kind of risking that, and then. Yeah, also hopefully preventing the respond attack, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier. The nice part about both of these decks is they're super tanky, and once you get set up, they get going. But the nice part about Dialga is once you get set up, you can kind of slow your opponent once they've already set up with Lost, remove Lost, just being able to hopefully get your opponent's active energy in the loss zone. I have had some really dirty remove loss in the mirror. One time I flipped 4 heads against an opposing Dialga that had 3 special metals and a warp energy. So definitely a crazy attack that can just outright win you the game if you get a little bit lucky on it. But even with 1 heads, you can see how impactful removing the double colorless energy from this Regigigas level X is. So Trevor's going to go for double Mesprit and a Crobat. Probably just, he saw me bench the Smeargle. He might just be benching the Mesprit. Mesprit is often your sacrifice target. And I don't have a power spray, unfortunately. I absolutely would be power spraying this sacrifice if I had the opportunity to, but I don't think I have a power spray in my hand. Otherwise, I probably would have done that. Just because, like I was saying, if you're able to take the tank out, it's a lot better of a matchup. So Trevor's going to go down to 3 prizes, and I'm going to go down to 4. I actually haven't knocked anything out yet. It's all been sacrifices from Trevor. So yeah, board's not looking too crazy right now. Unfortunately, I didn't have that power spray in my hand, so I wasn't able to shut off that sacrifice. And now I'm going to have to probably just go for a collector and start to slowly set up another Dialga. One of the things about Dialga is you don't usually mind your first Dialga going down. However, when you're up against a Regigigas that is hitting your board for a knockout on turn 2, and then also now has metal, fighting, and a water energy, which means he only needs 1 more energy to start. Giga Blastering and disrupting my hand and top deck is very, very threatening and scary. I'm definitely not in an amazing spot here. However, Toxicroak G is a card that is pretty important in this matchup. You know, Regigigas is weak to fighting, so being able to swing on a Regigigas, and then also the poison that Poison Revenge allows is really good. I mean, being able to poison Regigigas Pokepowers back in the day meant that if you had they said if you have a special condition on this Pokemon, you cannot use the Pokepower on it. So being able to poison it not only for damage, but also saying, hey, you have to manually retreat this if you would like to use the power on it. And sometimes Regigigas can't afford to do that. In this case, Trevor definitely can. But even the 2 damage counters on it, he's just going to go for the sacrifice for 2 because he knows that I have the Toxicroak. Really great play from Trevor. This is not a deck that I think a lot of players would, that mid to low level players would pilot very easily because, you would think, I just have 2 damage counters on this Regigigas. It's not really worth me giving him a prize card to take this 2 counters off, but it actually is because Trevor knows that I got the Toxicroak. And he knows that, if I, even with this Let Loose, he's able to, if I'm able to draw into a Cyrus rather, then I can pretty easily Cyrus and an SP Radar or a Toxicroak or an Energy Gain. I will be able to knock him out if he has 2 counters. So he's just saying, hey, even if you hit that, you will not be able to knock me out, which is just really good play from Trevor. So he's gonna go for the Let Loose, and also the other thing is he's like technically up on prizes. Even with the sacrifice, he's gonna take a prize here. So yes, we're even this turn, but he's also attacking me, so he's going up 1. So that's one of the things about Regigigas is you kind of have to recognize like, oh, I might be able to give my opponent this prize if the healing or acceleration is worth it, because I am taking a lead right now. So he's just gonna go for the Gigaton Blaster and discard a random card from my hand. Warp Point, not a really important card for me. And then my Uxie should be dying. So I'll promote the other Uxie, but that Uxie should be dead. And I'm just going to Pont here, find a Special Metal Energy and a Expert Belt. Yeah, I don't know why I haven't put the Uxie in the discard yet. I'm sure we'll figure that out pretty quick. But I kind of have to get something going here pretty quick. Missing an energy attach last turn was a pretty big deal. If you miss energy attaches as Dialgachomp ever, that's not usually something that you want to be having happen. But also remove lost rather is such a good attack that I might be able to come back if I'm able to get that going the turn after this one. But the problem is Regice as well. So I'm going to have a Power Spray to shut off Regimove. Otherwise, Trevor can just use Regimove, get my Dialga out of the active, and then just kill something on the bench, which is a really nice part about Regice as well. As, obviously being able to get basic energy in the discard pile for sacrifice is good. Yeah, there's the Uxie in the discard. But also being able to move your opponent's active Pokemon if you don't have the ability to KO it in a matchup like this and then just kill, a support Pokemon on the bench for the last prize of the game is definitely a really solid strategy that Trevor's definitely thinking about right now. So we're going to see what I'm able to hit off this Pont. Probably wanted to go for... See, I do have the Toxicroak, but I think... I think I'm going to have an Expert Belt on the Toxicroak as well because it does 20 plus 40 if a Pokemon was knocked out. So that's 60 times 2, which is 120, which doesn't kill this Gigas. But with an Expert Belt and a Bronzong, I might be able to take it out. But Trevor's just going to go for the Junk Arm for Pokemon Rescue. And he's likely just going to sacrifice again. All 4 of my prizes that I've taken are from Trevor's sacrifices because he says, hey, yeah, I know that you are getting to take a prize, but I'm also getting a prize lead on this. And I'm getting to continue my lock. One of the other nice parts about sacrifice is it opens up a bench slot. So because of that, Trevor's going to ditch a bad bench and then bring a Mesprit back and just power lock me and say, hey, you don't get powers, which is really good, especially when you're already in control of the game. Shutting off my powers is a very great asset that Trevor's just showing that he really knows how to pilot Regigigas. This is a great example of how Regigigas can quickly start steamrolling a game and then just set up and be in control for the majority of the game. I haven't been in control for this whole game, except for when I was using Remove Lost and hoping for a bunch of heads. That was the only time, and that wasn't even really in control. But Trevor just being able to sacrifice, bring a Mesprit back, power lock is Trevor's very, very firmly in control of this game. Junk Arm, a great card to be able to bring resources back. Junk Arm for Pokemon Rescue is a really solid combo in this deck just because you're getting rid of bench stuff all the time, so you get to get stuff back, whether that's an Uxie or a Mesprit or a Giratina like Trevor's already done. It's you got a lot of options. So I'm gonna go for an SP Radar, get rid of this Garchomp. I know that I don't want to bench a Garchomp, otherwise I just lose because he's going to drag off because he has the Expert Belt. So I do have that level X. I think that I just need to find a Power Spray and hope to live here. This Dialga essentially has 140 HP because it has 2 special metals and an Expert Belt. So it will live through a Gigaton Blaster unless Trevor has a Crobat Seeker. But no matter what, I'm going to need a Power Spray to live through what Trevor has this turn. He does have another Sacrifice trigger as well, so he could get rid of something and have a bench slot if he wants to open that up for Crobat or something else. Uxie to maybe draw a card or something. So yeah, but I'm kind of not an amazing spot. I'm going to grab that Dialgachomp level X. But if I don't have the Power Spray, he's just going to use Regice and then seal this game up. So we'll see if I have the Power Spray in hand. I didn't see it there, but it might be in one of those last two cards. I don't think it is. I think that was a Toxicroak and a VS Seeker and a Warp Energy. So I am going to go for the Pont here. Have I already used a supporter? No, I didn't use support. That was last time. So you're going to go for the Pont, and I think, you know, hope for a Power Spray off of this. If I'm not able to hit a Power Spray, then this game is probably over. It's insane how, you know, both of these decks are pretty slow starting decks, but this game is honestly gone really quickly. Trevor's already down to his last prize, and since he's sacrificed 4 times, I'm down to my last 2 prizes as well. That's another thing about Regigigas rather, that if you're playing Regigigas, you have to really not be afraid to give your opponent prize cards. Trevor's given me 4 whole prize cards this game, but also he's entirely in control of the game. I don't know if I've had an attachment this turn. I missed the double colorless energy anyway, so I don't think it really matters, but I think I did attach the special metal. So I might just be deafening here and then hoping. I also don't see a Power Spray, so this game is probably over. Trevor's probably just going to use the Reggie move and then be able to kill something on the bench. I don't see a Power Spray in the hand. I see a lot of cards that aren't Power Spray, so this game might just be over. He's going to go for the Reggie move, and I do not have a Power Spray, so he's just going to take that knockout and take the game there. So great example of Regigigas power from Trevor there. Great game. And as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.